Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to adjust the routing depth of this Dremel Plunge Router. We're going to have a good time today. My name is James and welcome to Homestyle Woodcrafts. To get started, let's review some of the parts of the Plunge Router that we're going to be using to adjust the routing depth. So first is the locking knob. This locks the depth just by turning it like this. The second is the depth guide. I'm going to turn it around. This is the depth stop, the upper adjustment nut and the lower adjustment nut, and this is the release. So this router is set up to allow for 2 adjustment stops, and they will be set by using the adjustment nuts. The first thing that you will want to do is lower your bit to the work surface and then lock that into place. Then, just for ease of demonstration, I'm going to turn it around. When you lower the router bit to the work surface, you're going to need to make sure that this depth stop is above this piece right here, the stopping point. Otherwise, it will get in the way of you lowering your routing bit to the work surface. So the next thing that you do is now you will push the release button to drop the depth stop to this point where it meets the router base. You will twist it so that this space becomes the same space as your initial routing depth. Now, you can do different things to make that measurement. You can, use a scrap piece, anything that will give it the space or the depth that you will want it. One tip I've learned is that you can use drill bits because they are a known width, but you could use anything that accomplishes the same end. Once you've established that, I'm going to set mine kind of high and use exaggerated depths just for demonstration purposes. But once you set this gap, which will become the depth of the first router depth, you will lower this nut. In the instructions, it says to make it snug, but I have found that that doesn't work because it won't move if you set it too tight, and you want it to raise and lower as you raise and lower the adjustment stop. So I've got it so it's touching the base but not too snug. I'm going to add an additional gap which will set the depth of the second depth adjustment, and I do that by again twisting the adjustment stop up, and again I'm going to do one that's kind of exaggerated. And then I'm going to move that nut up. Okay. So what will happen when you're routing is that you will push the release button so that this drops, so that the depth stop drops, and then you can push it down to your first depth. And you can see right here that it has dropped. Then what you do is you push the release button again. I'm pushing this. And that will allow you to plunge all the way down to your second depth adjustment. Now it occurs to me that you may want to make more routing passes than 2, depending on your ultimate depth that you want to route out, because you don't want to take too much wood at any one pass. And so let me show you how I think a good way to set 2 stops and use them as your most shallow depth and your deepest depth, and then do other passes in between those 2. So I've already set my most shallow depth and then the second depth as well. Set it at your initial depth and route what you're going to route. Then you can turn the adjustment stop to create a little more depth. And then you can route at that level. And then you can turn it a little more to create a little more depth. And then route at that level. And you can keep doing that until you reach your ultimate routing depth. And I'm going to demonstrate this. When you're using power tools, please make sure you use the right safety equipment. I'm going to be wearing eye protection, hearing protection, and a dust mask. I've already set my 2 stops, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to make minor depth adjustments. So now I'm going to turn the depth stop a couple of turns to increase the depth of the routing cut. Here's a close-up of the depth stop. To make the incremental adjustments in the routing depth, just turn it like this, little each time. And now I'm going to repeat this process several times. And here you can see the changes in the routing depth as a result of the adjustments I made with the depth stop. Hey, please like this video and subscribe to this channel if you found this video useful and informative. We'll see you next time.